What? You want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And yes, it is showtime again. It is 9 p.m. on the, well, actually 9:01 on the dot here. And it's time for another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I am Joe D. McPhee here. And as I stated on Comic Book Spectrum, there's a lot to talk about here. We may not go the full 2 hours, but we got things to show, stuff to talk about, maybe a little bit of ranting here. But nonetheless, the key thing here is C2E2 is this upcoming week here. And there's going to be a couple of things that we got to talk about with that. There's a couple of things that we got to do here. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and get the business end of things out the way here so that we could go ahead and move forward, such as Stupid Clock still happening 1 hour into our show here at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 1 hour in, 1 hour into our show. Second hour, if we go into a second hour, that is then followed up by Last Man Standing at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then you get that respite until Monday morning until you have Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. Eastern on Nicholas Tucker's channel here. And let us not forget, good old Comic Book Spectrum will happen this Thursday. Despite, C2E2 and everything, it will happen. It'll be me and Cliff instead of me and Elaine this time around. And we're going to have some good old-fashioned fun, talk about some comics, talk about geek culture and everything. I'm going to save a lot of my comments about Saw 10 for that show here, because I did watch that earlier today. And we're going to talk about, what we have read and all the other nice little stuff here to kind of get you ready and in the mood for C2E2 at that Friday. So, on that note, it is that time once again. I know this is a lot of your guys' favorite moments here, so I'm about to get ready to go ahead and go into new comic book pickups for the week here. And we got a nice little stack of books here to cover here, so I'm going to give at least people a little bit more time before we go into it. We got a lot of old books, new books, and some stuff that I'm just up here just like I'm just happy because it makes my heart sing when I could look at the collector's update and see actual progress here. So with that in mind here, we're going to go ahead with the first book that's on the pile that I have sitting here. We got Vampirella Death and Destruction #2 that came in. This one is a nice little copy. They say that is near mint, and it is nice. I'm looking at the spine right now. It is a pretty decent copy of that here. Worth the $8 that I paid for it. Then we got Wonder Woman 145. So now you guys know that, yes, our magic number is going down again. And then in addition to that, we got issue number 144. So our magic number went down, and our goal for Volume 1 Wonder Woman is getting closer and closer to its finality. We got Vengeance of Vampirella 0, the Mystery Walk 0. That came in. We're going to follow that up with Dragonfly #7. So we're getting close to having all of the issues of Dragonfly from AC Comics. We also got Captain Paragon and the Sentinels of Justice #1. I think this is like either my second or third copy of this. It might, or well, I don't have my COZ app right here in front of me, so I'm not going to look that up just as of yet. But that's one for the ages here. Then we got, I believe this is Rogue issue #8. I think this is from the second volume of Rogue here, which is nice. And then we got issue #2 of Tigra from, and this is the, I believe this is the 4-issue limited series. The only issue that I'm missing now from this series is issue #1 of Tigra. So I will be on the hunt for that here. We end up getting Liberty Metals 31, which is nice. Good old-fashioned Frank Cho. Now, even though it has a nice little chunk out of it, this is Honey West #1. So it got that chunk out right there. It was cut out here, but it's the actual full book and everything. So that's a nice addition here. It's probably going to end up being something that I probably end up looking for a little bit later. We got another copy of issue 3 of volume 2 of Iron Fist. That's part of the 3-issue mini from way back when in the 90s. We got Oracle the Cure, issue #2 of 3. I think I got 2 copies of that somewhere floating around here. We got Mighty Thor issue #5. That's another copy of that because I have the full run of that. This is Elektra volume 3 #3. I'm not certain how many issues of this volume of Elektra that I'm actually missing here, but that might come up in the collector's update after I do some other inventory here. We got Savage Dragon #27 from volume 2, which is pretty nice. Then we're going to follow that up with Birds of Prey volume 1 103. Now I'm happy that I finally finished this volume of Birds of Prey here a long time ago, because this series to me is one of the few underrated series that people tend not to think about all that often here. We got another copy of Ultimate Power #5. For those who, with watching the show, know that I finally got a full run of Ultimate Power now. So we got an extra issue #5. Here's same volume of Iron Fist. This is issue #2 from that same run. We got this is the all new Atom. This is the Ryan Choi Atom, issue #2. And then I got another copy of Jane Foster Valkyrie #3. That's going to get followed up by Ryan Choi again with Atom #4, the all new Atom #4. I'm getting closer and closer to volume 3 getting completed for The Outsiders. So that's a great thing here. Then that's going to get followed up by, nonetheless, we got Reggie's Jokes #2. We got something that's going to be a little bit more old school coming up. So we got Reggie Jokes #2, which is old school Archie. Then we got Jughead 176, which is in pretty decent condition here, which is nice. We got another copy of Champions #2, which is nice. I enjoy these types of books too. And we're going to follow that up with issue #2 of the 4-part limited series for Falcon from back in '83. And then we got some last with some Ren and Stimpy. This is Ren and Stimpy #14. And then we're going to follow that up with another copy of Mystery 3D. Now, this is not the first time that I have this. I think this is like either my second or third copy of Mystery 3D here, but that is nice. And then we're going to follow that up with some Adam Hughes goodness here with Catwoman 52. Trying to get the glare out so for you guys can see the Adam Hughes cover goodness there. That's going to get followed up by, I got one too many here. Another Jughead 173. And then we got Supergirl 39. And we're going to go right into a Savage Dragon number 20. So that is nice and pretty. I just felt something down there. So yeah, this might need a little bit of pressing, but I'm not worried about that here. We got Wolverine number 9. I think this was kind of like a giveaway gift here because usually I don't partake in Wolverine books all that much here. And then we got our second copy of the Pizza Hut giveaway, which is Wonder Woman number 62, which is great here. And oh, there's Tat. Cool. No, I did not hear what's going on with Sam Keith. This okay. Somebody clue me in on that because I haven't been keeping up about a lot of things that's going on with the celebrity portion of that here. So go ahead and tell me if you can. Then getting back to the books here, we got Kyra number 3. Now, you got to be kidding. It happened today? Did they just announce that today? So we lost Chuck Norris and now Sam Keith relatively within like almost like 3 to 4 days within one another. That's wild. That is very wild. Now, at first, I thought the whole thing about Chuck Norris was a joke because everybody kept saying like Chuck Norris is dead, several years ago. And then when I'm seeing the news feeds now, up are like, is this a joke or is it not? It's like, yes, I believe that it was all over IG. Wow. So Sam Keith, so Chuck Norris and Sam Keith. Wow. Great actors in all rights and everything too. That is kind of like sobering in that aspect here. Very sobering. But that is weird. That is just so weird. Days, just literally days within one another. Wow. Okay. What was it doing? Yeah. We got Kyra number 3. I am missing the last issue of this series. I think it was a 7-issue series. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Chuck Norris. Yeah. That's always sad. And like I said before, it's like at first I thought it was a joke. It's like, oh, they're playing a joke again. At first I thought they was playing a joke until I actually saw it on actual like news feeds like Variety and stuff like that. I was like, oh, it actually did happen. So I kind of left it alone. And everything. It just was sad. Yeah. Oh, that's perfectly okay, Chad. That's perfectly all right and everything. But I mean, when I start seeing, memorials where it's like it was him and Bruce Lee up in heaven, they're saying it's like, they were welcoming one another in heaven and stuff like that. I was like, maybe it was true. And then I read it in, things like Variety. It's like Variety doesn't play with people's death like that. And they said that he was dead. But Sam Keith, that's news to me. But then again, I have not been watching news all day today. Normally weekends, I don't watch news like that. I don't go seeking out news unless it's for like weather. But again, I haven't really been on the social media outlets either, too. Yeah, because again, it's like people, back in the early 2000s, they were up here playing the joke that's like, about him dying one time. And it's just like, nah, it's like it was fake and this, that, and the other. And just with all the quote unquote legendary stuff that Chuck Norris did and how he kind of plays into it, kind of jokingly, it was kind of like one of those things. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to fall for it this time until, actual real outlets say, no, he's dead. And I was like, when that happened, I was like, oh, it's for real. And it kind of like your heart kind of sunk here because it's up here. It's like, man, it was just like the other day that he was selling the Total Gym and was Walker Texas Ranger and was doing A-OK and doing all these infomercials and everything. And then lo and behold, gone. And then Sam Keith, I believe, I forgot what animated series or voiceover acting that he just got through doing. He was promoting that, and then now, you're just telling me like he's gone. It's like it's like none of these people seem like they were sick or anything to that magnitude. It's just like out of the blue, gone. Yeah, it's just like, like I said, it's sobering. It's very, very sobering news for that type of stuff here. But the major thing here is that we got to appreciate what happiness that they brought to the world with Chuck Norris, with all the different movies, all the Delta Force action movies and everything to that magnitude. The one fight with Bruce Lee. Was it? No, it wasn't. No, it was. No. It wasn't Enter the Dragon. It was the other movie. I can't think of the other movie that it was. Because Enter the Dragon was him versus Jabbar, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That was the first time that he made his martial arts debut. But I can't remember the movie for that. Then Sam Keith, all over the place with animation and all the different movies and TV shows that he's done. Yeah, the Max. Yep. It's just weird. Just weird. Sobering. Very sobering, but weird. I'm not going to deflate the happiness that normally comes with new comic books for the week here, but once I'm done here, we're probably going to take a moment of silence for those two before we do the other things here. We left off with this one here, which is going to be New Mutants number 33, which is one I believe I was still missing here. Then here's like I said, here's the second copy of Oracle the Cure number 2. I believe in that series, the only one I'm missing is either 3 or I got them all. I believe this is the Peach Momoko Ghost Rider number 4. I might end up still keeping it, but right now it's in my keep pile. It might shift over to the sell pile here. Another Outsiders number 14. And then we got Batman Catwoman number 8, which is nice and pretty here. And then I'm getting closer and closer to just going ahead and committing to getting the Kaboom run of this here, which is Darkwing Duck. So this is Darkwing Duck number 13. I do have several issues of the Kaboom series of Darkwing Duck, but the thing about it is, like, I was never going to truly commit myself to getting it until just now. And then we got What If Dr. Doom was really the thing. I want to read this, but I have a sneaky suspicion that this story is going to disappoint me. I really do. And surprisingly enough, I got from Solston Publications, How to Draw Comics comic. Now, for those who want to know, it's like Solston Publications. You probably never heard of it, but this comic itself is a how to draw comics book from John Byrne. This is all John Byrne talking about the process of drawing comics. So I thought that this would be a nice little pickup to have around for for all the how to draw books that I got here for other people to kind of come by and peruse and look at and everything here. And we're getting closer to having all of the top Xenozoic Tales here for Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, but that's what it's called. The actual title is Xenozoic Tales, but we know it more as Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. This is the issue number 3 of the Topps run of it, which is the tail end of, I forgot which volume. Then we got some more modern Josie and the Pussycats here. So we got Josie and the Pussycats number 9, number 5, number 7, and number 6. So that is the more modern Archie run of Josie and the Pussycats here. We got issue number 8 of Satellite Sam, which to me is like this is one of those series. And I start reading, this Howard Chaykin and Matt Fraction story. It's like this is supposed to be acclaimed, but to me it's just like, if you ever want to read a story that felt like it's all talking heads, that's what this comic is pretty much. That. Is it a bad story? No, but it's not a great detective story either, because it's telling you too much. It's trying to do too much too soon. And that's my opinion on what I have read up to this point here. And I haven't read it all the way through because I'm missing issues towards the tail end of it. But through like the first 7 issues here, it was just like, you're not moving the goalpost forward. It's like the more his son investigates the death of his father, the more it gets clouded and muddled, and the way that the network was trying to cover up everything just became so great. And it just like it just got too talking head. It's just like, it was more, to me, it's like you need to show more than tell us more. Anyway, that brings us to New Mutants number 4 from the more, if you think this is volume 4 from the 2020 run here. And then we got some more Jughead here. We got issue number 188, 257, and 259, which is nice here. Well, it's not really that you brought sad news. It's just more along the lines. It's like, it caught me off guard. Because normally I would pick up on those types of things and would talk about it at the time here. Yeah, Satellite Sam. It's one of those. It's one of those things that's like, once you start reading it, it's like, it's an interesting topic because it goes back to like the early days of television where everything was live, and what happens when your main character dies in real life and how you recover from that. It starts off like that, and then when we find out that there is something underlying that was very, if I could say, deviant about the actor's behavior, and then we find out that his son, who was like a police detective, is now investigating the case and everything. It became interesting. And then by the time you get to like issue number 2 and 3, especially when you read about how the network is trying to keep all this stuff out of the news cycle, it was just like, some of these boardroom conversations you could do without. You could cut half of that stuff out and still have the same impact on the story. So that's kind of like how I felt about Satellite Sam. It's like they're just talking too much and not showing enough of the story itself. But then again, I kind of got that from how Matt Fraction writes, because Matt Fraction typically is a very wordy writer, if I could say it in that aspect here, Tat. And then we got some Lois Lanes coming up here. So we got, what is this? We got Lois Lane 68, and I know that the cover is ripped here, but that's the one of the 80-page giants here, so that is a good place filler for right now, or a gap filler. Lois Lane 67, with her about to get ready to put Superman on the guillotine here. And then we got another 80-page giant here, this is Lois Lane, 80-page giant number 14, featuring Lois Lane here, with Duel to the Death with Lana Lane. And then we got a Supergirl story, and then we got Lori the Mermaid and Cleopatra. All of those type of stories here. And then we got the variant copy of Doom War number 1, the famous Storm cover for Doom War number 1. And then surprisingly enough, I didn't realize I didn't have this one in a direct format, which is Fantastic Four 297. And for some reason, it's like the only Fantastic Four that I really collect in my day was the full John Byrne run. I like John Byrne Fantastic Four for some reason. It's just weird in that aspect here. Then we got Magnificent Miss Marvel number 7 that came in. And then we got another surprise here, which is Jughead Jokes number 3 from 1968. See, normally if Eric was here, I could see him going 1968. No, none of that type of stuff. It's just Jughead Jokes issue number 3. So that tells me that I got Jughead Jokes number 2 and the number 3. I don't have Jughead Jokes number 1 as of yet. And here is a classic issue here. The top of it, the top of the spine is gone though, but I'm glad that I now have a copy of it in my collection here. And I know if Elaine was here, she would have been like, yeah, I want that too. But this is Conan the Barbarian 100. But if you ask me, it's like, you don't collect Conan, but why would you get Conan the Barbarian 100? Because it is the death of Belit. So that it's kind of like a minor key, but Belit was one of the major key female characters in the Conan the Barbarian series here. So that is a very significant point of the storyline when Belit dies. And then we got the Mighty Isis number 1. I've been looking for a copy of that for quite some time here. I might end up breaking down and getting the rest of the 7 to 8 issues of Isis here. I think I already got a few of them already. It's just, going through everything, in storage is still being a rather a pain and everything here. Yeah, that was a very nice Doom cover here. And yep, good old gun. Yep. And there's Parallax here, aka Leia. So now that brings us to Josie and the Pussycats number 51, the Josie that I grew up with, as opposed to the newer modern side of Josie here. So we got issue number 51, which brings us to Jughead Jokes number 34. So yeah, Jughead Jokes ran for quite some time. It was like over like 160 something issues of Jughead Jokes here. And here we got the last issue of Volume 1, Mr. Miracle. It is heavily rolled, so I got to fix it a little bit later. But that is Mr. Miracle number 25 from Volume 1. That's the end of the Volume 1 run. And Tad is saying hello to Leia here. And looky, we got Black Panther number 1. I believe this is the first time that Coates was writing Black Panther, which is nice. Then we got to follow it up with The Thing issue number 3 from Volume 2. So that is nice. I'm almost getting close to having all of Volume 2 of Thing. And then this is the Ridley run of Black Panther number 1. And this is the issue number 2 of the Priest run of Black Panther. And now this volume of the Inhumans, I'm not certain if I have a full run of it, but I know I got bits and pieces of it as a whole here. But that is issue number 2 of the Inhumans. This is part of a 4-issue mini-series here. I know I got either all 4 of them, or I got close to the full run of it. And this book right here, I've got it because I love supporting people who support me, whether it be through buying my comics or working the comics that I create and everything. And this one is Amazing Age number 2. Now, the colorist here, which is Christine Brunson, did coloring for me with the Amazonia series here. So I try to support people who support me the best that I can here. And the best way to do it is buy the work that they worked on, which is great here. And it's I almost tried to complete Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3 of the Thing here. I'm quite certain that I know I have all Volume 1. Volume 2, I'm definitely missing like a handful of issues here. And Volume 3, I don't really know how far I'm into Volume 3 as of yet. Okay, so now we got this. I believe this is volume 5 of X-Men. So we got a nice little small stack of that here. So we got some duplicates and variant covers here. So we got issue number 7 from volume 5, I believe, and the sketch variant here done by Chung. Issue 8. Then we got the trading card for X-23. Then issue 13, issue 14, and this is issue 19, which is the more or less the more glamorous Women's History Month cover of the X-Men run from that series here. And no, that does not bring us to the end of new comic book pickups for the week, because it's time for the hardware. And when I say the hardware, we're talking about good old fashioned slabs, starting with Spawn number 9 at a 9.6 here. First Angela, that finally came in. That actually literally just came in and got delivered not even a good 15 minutes ago. I don't know why mail ran so late today, but you know, lo and behold, just before I got onto the show here, it's like I got notified. It's like, oh, your package was just delivered. It's like, no, they didn't. They didn't ring no doorbell or anything and go outside, and next thing you know, there it is. I'm going to make that one last here. I had to go ahead and get an upgraded version of this here. So I got the very first Dan Slott run. This is She-Hulk Volume 1, issue number 1 from the very first Dan Slott run at a 9.6 here, which is nice. So that is an upgrade from the 9.2 that I already have here. This one brings me to an end of an era here, and that the reason I say it brings me into an era, because now I don't have to like try to judge and grade other copies of it anymore, because now, well, actually I might still have to judge it because of the simple fact, judge other ones just in case I get that inkling to make certain that I have it also in newsstand. But I do have 2 graded in newsstand. One is a 6, and the other one is one is a 5, and the other one's a 6 here. But this brings us to the end of trying to hunt and track down and trying to get one graded for the purposes of having one in high grade. So there it is. Volume 2, Wonder Woman number 1, 9.8. And no, I did not pay a pretty penny for it. I think I got this for less than actually grading. It's like $58. I think I paid total. No, I take that back. 80 something. It was like closer to 80 something dollars. So it's been like taking one of my books. I had one that I had set aside to try to get graded to see if I could get one at a 9.8, and I said nope. It's like, if this one is available and it was accurate and I could go ahead and see that it's 1-to-1 and the casing was not messed with, I'm buying this one and getting it over with. But notice that it is a direct one. The other 2 that I have that's already slapped are newsstand. So like I said, if I ever had the inkling for a newsstand copy to have at a 9.8, it's going to be a little bit of a stretch here. But at this point, with Volume 2 of Wonder Woman, with Wonder Woman Volume 2, I'm pretty much done. And not trying to mess with it. Well, I'll still pick up issues here and there. I might still pick up at issue 72, which is one of those iconic covers. And what was the other one? 164, the Adam Hughes Golden meets Current, which again, I have one that's signature series and another one at a 9.8, but people look for those issues here. And I know what Parallax is going to say. Stop broing over that type of stuff. I will stop broing over it. But, you know, if it's available and if it's cheap enough, I will buy it. It's just a simple fact here. But that is new comic book pickups for the week and everything here. And as promised, we're going to have a quick little moment of silence here. Yep, I knew you were going to say it. We're going to have a moment of silence for Sam Keith and Chuck Norris here. So I'm going to give them a little bit of respect before we get into the comic book updates and everything. And then we're going to talk about C2E2. And I'm going to rant a little bit about something. And then we're probably going to call it a day here. So a moment of silence for Sam Keith and Chuck Norris. And thank you for that moment of silence here. So with that being done, let's go ahead and get into the updates for the collections and everything that we have here, at least the ones that matter. No change in the Film Force here, but then again, the Film Force updates. Yep, prayers. Exactly, Tad. There's no update on the Film Force as of yet, because again, most comic book places that I know of really don't have back issues of Film Force, and if they do, it's usually issues above issue I should say below issue 100. So it's kind of hard to get like issues from like 100 to like where they added 200 and something right now. I think it's like 206 or 208, something like that right now. Mr. Miracle, we're down to an issue 19. So once I get the issue 19, it will be a done deal, and that would no longer be on the updates here. With Spider-Woman, we got it down to 3 issues for volume 7 and 1 issue from volume 5, unless there's a brand new Spider-Woman series coming out here. So issue number 6 from volume 5, 19, 20, and 21 for volume 7. Then with the X-Men series here, we pretty much got everything. It's just mostly what that is, 9 issues from volume 5 and a lot of issues from the current run here. And as I was pleased to say, the magic number is 106. So as of right now, I have every issue of Wonder Woman from volume 1, starting from 130 to present, without missing an issue. That does not mean that I don't have issues below issue 130. It's just more along the lines that I'm looking at the contiguous run without a break here. So that is from volume 1, 130 to where we're at in volume 6 without missing an issue here. So we're doing pretty good on that. And then with the regular X-Men run, we're missing 5 issues from volume 4, the listed issues there from volume 5, and the new run of volume 6 here. So with that being done and everything, we're going to forego the production update. Why? Because we want to talk about C2E2 here. C2E2 this upcoming week here. And I did promise that there was going to be a debut that is going to be made here of a brand new series, which is called The Legends of the Giantess Slayer. So we got our copies of Legends of the Giantess Slayer in. This is the A cover. So this is going to be our $5 entry for this brand new series here. If you wanted to be ballsy and everything, you could get the C2E2 exclusive variant here, which is this right here. This one, I believe we are doing this at a $20 price point here. It is a full 24-page anthology series here, so it's not just one particular storyline that's going on throughout the whole book. You're getting at least the start of chapters of 4 different stories, each one running anywhere between 6 to 8 pages here. So each issue will have like 6 to 8 page stories that is going in a straight line, dealing with different topics and everything, which always starts off with like a college-like lecture dealing with a lot of the adult themes that is going on for that here. But in addition to that, we do have a not safe for work version of it, which is going to be a $30 ask for it. Now I have it backwards because of the simple fact that this is how we got to display it, because this is a adult book here. So because of the imagery that's on the cover, we have to do it this way too, because of the terms and agreements for Twitch here. And Parallax is saying, yeah, April 1962, you need pre-Kennedy Wonder Woman and pre-Fantastic Four Wendy's. Yep. But for those who don't think that, we're playing something like, yeah, this is, I will show you that, no, this is different than this one and all the other ones. But this is the not safe for work. So that's as far as I'm going to go here. So that's the reason why we have it displayed back this way here. So we do have a brand new series that we're introducing at C2E2. We're going to have these books live on our website next week. I'm probably going to have them officially live on the website either Wednesday or Thursday or next week. Not next week, this upcoming week. I'm still in thinking that we're at the beginning of this week. No, it's like it's almost Sunday, so we're almost on the week of C2E2. Now, I also have good news, bad news situation here. And for those, I want people to keep me accountable here. We finally got our corrected versions of issue number 5 of Primetime Saturday Night. So if you got this from us here, you have what is the error copy here, because some of the lettering and stuff was missing on some of the pages here. So we now finally got our copies that is complete, where all the lettering stuff is there. We don't have any missing lettering pages on this here. However, when we got our foils back, our replacement foils back, the same thing happened here. So if you want the foil version here, we'll be willing to sell you the foil version here, but this is what we're going to do for you if you buy the foil. Not only will you get the error copy of the foil here, we'll make certain that you get a copy of issue number 5 foil version when we get them in. Plus, we're going to give you the remaining copy of one of the error versions of issue number 1 from Primetime Saturday Night. Yes, we still have a couple of error copies of Primetime Saturday Night from way back when. So if you buy one of these, we're going to make certain that we hook you up here for those who collect this type of stuff. And I know that error copies are collectible here. So this is going to be one of those weird, type of collectible type items here. If you want to get them, if you want to get one, we're not going to force anybody's hand, but if you want the foil version of it, we'll sell it to you. But we want to make certain that you get a actual good copy of the foil plus an error copy of the number 1s as long as they last here. I think we only got maybe like 30 to 40 more of the error number 1s still left. But as long as they last, you would get those those things if you end up getting the error copy of issue number 5, the foil version here. But we are replacing those. If you could prove to me that by coming back and showing me that you got one of the error copies of issue number 5 from last year, this is an automatic. I just hand you a good one and you're good to go. but we have the actual full version of the non-errors in-house as of right now. So that's pretty much what's going on here. Elaine will have her In the Coming of Night graphic novel, book one of her graphic novel there. She will have the Enslaved as there as well. I will also have slabs of our books. You know, if you want a slab of Amazonia #1 or one of the 10th anniversary ones, we will have those there. We will have slab versions of our sketch covers as well. Now, if you want me to go ahead and show you some of those slabs, I can, but I rather for you to come out to the show to have that here. I would probably will make myself available for sketch cover commissions if you really want one. Starting price for that will probably run you anywhere between $60 to $100, depending on what you want here. I'm not going to, really price a lot of people out here. So, I'd have done sketch covers for other people at like a $40 price point in older shows here. But because of the economy and everything, I'm going to try to keep it somewhat fair for myself and for you. So that's why I said, depending on how complex of a sketch cover, it's probably going to run you about anywhere between $60 to $100. And it depends on the book too, because I will have sketch covers for things such as like Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn, whatever, for most other series here. And for those who want it on like some of the sketch covers that are high value, that does drive up the price because those sketch covers are not easily to be replaced here. Like, for example, if you want the sketch cover for the I want to say the soul version of She-Hulk, those are hard to come by. That means that you're probably looking at maybe like $100 to $120 because those sketch covers are hard to come by. Wonder Woman sketch covers, like a lot of the older one for like the New 52, not the Rebirth one, but the like New 52 and before, those sketch covers are harder to come by. So you're looking at a higher price point for those books here. I know I still have like Thor #1s where Jane Foster becomes Thor, those sketch covers, so depending on whether it be for one of our books or one of those books, the price range will fluctuate based upon the book that's being used here. So it is kind of like one of those things here. Am I looking forward to C2E2? Yes, because I'm looking forward to seeing people's reactions to our brand new title here. And yes, we're ready to go. We're ready to go with these here. And when I say ready to go, issue 2 and 3 is already done. I just haven't, hit the Go Daddy Go button on getting them printed because I want to see how well this does before we print issue 2 and issue 3. Mainly because of the simple fact that if people like issue 2 and issue 3 and they come back, if they like issue #1, they will come back for issue 2 and issue 3, and we don't have to keep them waiting. So that means that if we get a good enough response, I'll be willing to hit the, go baby go, to tell Kablam, hey, print issue 2 and issue 3, and we'll make them available on the website, and we'll start promoting it as need be here. But I am quite happy that we got at least a decent versions C2E2 variant as well. This is a nice little one. And our not safe for work one, like I said, we're going to play it by ear because usually I'm not real big on not safe for work type covers, but because it's our first foray into more of the adult comic type series, we're going to try to see what it does and how people like it. We will be checking people's IDs and everything for the not safe for work because we can't display it. Because if we can't display it openly, especially where we're at on the floor, it would be different if we was, in Artist Alley or something like that, where we could have like a book that like a portfolio or some type of display where we could kind of keep things kind of covered. But when you're up towards the very beginning, up where people walk in, you just can't have it openly displayed when you have, mothers and their kids walking up, walking in the door, and they seeing stuff like that. Just not a good look, and that's also against policy for exhibiting here. I actually had true story. I actually had one of our exclusives, one of our C2E2 exclusives that I did in conjunction with Bombshell Comics, taken off of the C2E2 website because the cover actually showed a little bit of nippleage. It was like the person was clothed, but it showed just enough where it says like, no, that's a little bit too risque. We have to pull them off. We have to pull that off. I was like, wow, that's how strict that they are with these types of things. So it is one of those things that you got to, like I say, you got to respect one way or the other. So that's the reason why I'm not doing the production updates, because I'm showing you that we did produce. We got brand new stuff. We got brand new stuff coming in. We got brand new stuff that's ready to go. Only thing, yeah. I mean, it's like, it's just imagery. Imagery goes a long way, especially when the showrunners is promoting a quote unquote family event. So I understood. I wasn't upset about it. It was just more along the lines like, I get it. Most other people was like, for the sake of art, why are you taking my art down? I was like, no, look at the bigger picture here. And also, I'm not going to rant about it, but that also gets us back to some of the things that I've been saying to other people who truly know me when it comes to the art aspect of things here, is that, here in the States, we are quite prudish when it comes to that type of aspect here when it comes to art. Overseas in Europe and abroad, those things are kind of welcome and not seen as in a perverted like. But here in the United States, we do see it that way. So that's why I say I get it. You get in where you fit in when it comes to culture. Now, with that being done, and said and everything, we get in where you fit in, and you just roll with the punches here. Am I going to get upset for the sake of art? Nah. It's not worth it. Now, it would have been different if somebody came and tried to protest something like that in like France or something like that. Yeah, I probably would have got upset, because there's so many different examples that are out there floating around that says like, how is that different from this? But here in the States, it's like a lot of stuff that's openly shown over there in Europe wouldn't fly here. And you just have to just kind of respect that as a whole. But nevertheless, I did promise you guys a rant here. So let me go ahead and preface this by saying this is kind of like one of my recent experiences going to an actual brick and mortar comic book store. And this is one of the reasons why I kind of like, I'm almost ready to give up on modern comics. I'm so ready to almost give up on them, because of the simple fact that it's not the fact that the quality of stuff has gone down or anything to that magnitude, or I have any type of bias one way or the other, but it's more of the culture around it now that's bothering me. So I went into one of my local comic book shops, the one that Elaine always go to, First Aid Comics here. And no, I didn't have a bad experience with anybody that works there or anything to that magnitude, but I noticed the trend, and I pick up on culture more so than the overall aesthetic of the store and stuff like that. And the vibe that bothered me, and that really bothered me, is that you guys know how I do my collector updates and everything. So I'm trying to go and buy and see if they had issues of the more recent stuff, like stuff that came out within like the last couple of months, or like within like the last, I'll say within the last 5 years. And there are none to be found. Zero. And I'm up here like, wait, you got back issues, but all the back issues are like stuff from like at least 10, 15, 20 years ago. So you're telling me it's like, if I missed out on, let's just say, let's just pick on Future State Wonder Woman, because that would put it about like 5, 6 years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I wouldn't be able to find it there because there's no real back issues here. I went looking for things like Magnificent Miss Marvel. They got old school Carol Danvers Miss Marvel, but none from the Kamala Khan run. And I'm up there like, Kamala Khan really didn't, she was popular, but she didn't really sell out of books like that. So I know that, people would have copies of some of the back issues from here and there, but I went in this, went in there and it's like none. Anything that was recent, none. And I'm up there, I was like, something's not right about this. Something seems off. I would expect comic book stores to not have like a, to have like a I'm going to pick on Uncanny X-Men. I expect them not to have like an Uncanny X-Men 150, but yet I walk in there. Yeah, you could probably find that and grab that easily. I would expect them to have like up to maybe, like the last year of some of these other titles like Batman, Superman, and stuff like that in their back issue bins. Nope, not at all. And I'm up there like, something's wrong with this generation of comic book collectors. That just doesn't make any sense. Everything is not a sellout. There's been a lot of books that have been canceled because of the simple fact that they were not hitting 20 and 25,000 units per month. And considering the fact that most modern comics cannot be sold in dollar bins like that, because it would be too much of a loss for comic book stores for that matter, I would expect, it's like, I could probably go in there and probably get, these newer issues for like at least cover price or maybe like a few dollars more. They don't have any. And like I said, it's like, I'm not condemning this modern age based upon what I saw in this one story, but it's just more along the lines, the more I start looking for more of the modern stuff that I've been missing, the more I'm finding this out and finding that it is just that way. It's just stores do not keep modern comics at all, whether it be for back issue lot or not. It's just like it's like, and I kind of feel this way. The store is just barely buying enough to cover those who just have it on their pull list. And that to me is kind of sad. It's very sad. And Tad is saying, yeah, I get what you're saying here. Yeah, the stores around me have a lot of back issues from every age. And I have been in a few where they don't have any, and that sucks. Yeah, and this place had back issues, but it's nothing modern. Now, the one other store that I know of that I could say that is reasonably close, if I would have went there, either I would be paying a heavy amount of markup, or it would be the exact same thing. That modern era of that series is just not there, but they got a plethora of stuff that was more, if I could say copper, bronze, and silver. And it just baffles me because it's like I went there. It's like, I was like, yeah, it's like I'm here for Bags and Boards, but let me go ahead and check, X-Men, and it's like Uncanny X-Men and X-Men. And I've seen years worth of Uncanny X-Men, and it's like if I was started off with Uncanny X-Men right now in this day, I would be in hog heaven at this store. But there's nothing that was recent. I would say there was nothing that was there that was like 2020 to today. And I was getting kind of cheesed off about it. I went to New Mutants. I was like, plethora of the stuff from the 80s. I can't find anything from Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. And it's up here. It's like it's mind boggling. And I get it. The print runs were different back in the day. They printed more because of the simple fact that it was cheaper to print these books here. But I don't believe that print runs and fan bases have shrunk to that degree that there's not enough extras that stores are buying just to have for like overstock. And I'm not saying that they have to buy that they have to buy hundreds of books for overstock, but at least with them people, especially ones that buy collections, eventually you want to have people coming back in, selling off, some of their books, and it's like you're going to have extra back stock. But why is it that there's none or very few from like 2020 to now? It's mind-boggling that you go into a store and they're like, oh yeah, this, that, and the other, blah 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 blah, and okay, I'm going to try to complete my Uncanny X-Men collection. I'm missing only these 4 issues, and then boom. Unless they are a mega store, it's hard hunting. It is very hard hunting here. I mean, in a way, I get your point. It's like people don't really buy a lot of modern books a la carte anymore. They really don't. Either it gets pulled and they buy it, and for a lot of these stores to stay in existence, they pretty much have to buy exactly what their customer base orders, plus maybe like 1 or 2 extra or 3 extra. I get it. Not everybody could be the old school way of buying at least 20 to 30 copies for those who walk in on a new comic book day to pick it up. I get it. No harm, no foul. But when you go in there, you feel, you're up here, it's like you feeling all good and everything. It's like, oh, I could pick up that, that one issue that I missed, 3 months ago. And you go up in there, it's like, nope, they don't got it. Or, oh yeah, I need this one issue that came out, about like a year ago. They don't have it. They will have that awesome Grail book that you might want, and it's reasonably priced, but they don't have the more recent stuff to be like, how I'm going to catch up on this when they don't have it. It's just weird. It just seems very weird and very out of place here. Yeah, I have one store that took Gun and Sleepy to that Gun and Sleepy to realize that they like, but they all were back issues. Yeah, and so at most I'll get like 30 Spideys. It's just like one of those things. Like I said, it's like if I was starting with Uncanny X-Men today, if I didn't start my Uncanny X-Men collection, until today, if I just started it and I went to this store, I would have cleaned up on a lot of the issues from like, issues, like they had stuff from like issue number 200 to like 425 there. And it was like, going straight down the line. It's like, oh, I could get this one, get this one, get this one, get this one, get this one from volume 1. They didn't have any volume 2. They didn't have any volume 3. They didn't have any volume 4. They didn't have any volume 5. They have a lot of volume 1. But that kind of tells me one or two things. Either there was a greater acknowledgement about quality from volume 1, or there's something going wrong with the way that modern comics are being distributed and sold today. If they're really being marketed the way that people are saying as a collector's item, they're treating it as a product and they're not treating it as literary material anymore. They're treating it like, this is a collector's plate or limited action figure or toy instead of literature. but it's kind of weird in that aspect, in that format here. Yeah, it's like, yeah, then there's one store that will allow you to buy one copy. Yeah, those are stores that I kind of dislike, but I understand why they do it, because again, they're trying to keep their overhead down so their business may not be booming, and they really count on their pull list to get them through. Then that tells me that you should, and I highlight should, pay more attention to your customer base and make them feel more special if that's the case here. And people are semi interested in reading will get the trade paperbacks when it's half off. And that's years down the line. That's the problem with that. And I never talk bad about people who want to get trade paperbacks. But the whole trade paperback thing, to me, is one of the reasons why the aspect of an ongoing series is going the way of the dodo bird, because people want a story from beginning to end, but they don't want anything that's truly episodic anymore. And that's the major problem. It's like, I want the full story. It's like, well, go on that journey. Take everything as episodic. I mean, think about it. It's like we binge watch full TV seasons now. Back when I growing up, if you missed the episode back in the day, you have to wait for reruns, and that could be years before they reran that particular episode. Or you have to be so fortunate, or if I could say blessed, in such a way that somebody recorded it and you could go back and watch it that way. But it's like, to me, it's more of a convenience thing here. And not to say that people who do this is wrong. It's just more along the lines of like, yeah, enjoy it the way that you can. It may be one of the more cheaper ways of doing it, but the format is really supposed to be episodic. You kind of like, in a way, I look at it as like, instead of going to the movie theater, kind of like how it is with like me and movies now. I don't go to the movie theater anymore. I'll wait for it to come out on like Blu-ray or streaming service and watch it that way. Why? Because I just don't enjoy the movie theater atmosphere anymore. If I could say, the atmosphere has changed because the people that go and watch movies have changed. Movie theaters used to be like, it was like the event you wanted to see in the theaters because everybody was like-minded. They wanted to go see a spectacle and wanted to be truly entertained. Nowadays, people are like on their phones doing whatever, and they're not really paying attention to all this stuff, and the atmosphere just does not feel the same. It really doesn't. If I really want to watch something and really get something out of it, it's like, you know what? I'll wait until it come out on streaming, or wait until I could get a Blu-ray of it here. Just read the print run status average. Printed copies is 371,000. Average order 20. Yeah, that's in the shooter era. Yeah. And before that, before the Jim Shooter era, they were really looking at 500,000 or more. But that Shooter era, now 25,000 units is kind of like that cutoff point. No, see, she's lay-explaining things now, because I already said that, but she's lay-explaining it. But that's on back issues you're talking about. That is correct. But the thing about it is, with more current stuff, and this is what I'm saying. When I say current, I'm talking about from like 2020 to now. There are still supposed to be back issues made available. but it seems like stores are not doing that. So anything that was like recently ran, it's like unless they're like a mega store like Miles High Comics or like what she has Midtown. I guess Leia got like Midtown. We have what's called graham crackers. That's considered like a mega store. Those mega stores may have extras, but like your smaller mom and pop stores, like I like to go to, not so much. And it's like it's disappointing. It's just very disappointing in that aspect here. All right, Tat. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. Hopefully you'll be here for the C2E2 mid show update next week here. No, actually, you just said it with numbers, but that's the whole thing here. You actually gave us statistics and numbers, which I didn't have on hand. Yeah, like they print 10% more than ordered, so we have less backstop. Yeah, but there is backstop, the backstock or back issues. Yeah, but there is backstock in these type of things. But even at 10% less, you will still have maybe one or two copies that still might be there in store. I should be able to see like breaks in those back issues for those titles. That's the problem when there's none, even in the smaller stores, and you're being forced to go to the mega ones. That's a problem to me. It just kind of like it is what it is here. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not saying it's like, oh, you have to have back issues for every last issue that came out of Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, Miss Marvel Volume 3, Volume what? Yeah, Volume 3, Miss Marvel Volume 3. I'm not saying that, but at least have at least one or two of the most recent ones that's still there. It's like for example, it's like I could go to the rack and maybe get like the last two or three issues that came within like that last between like the last 3 to 4 months. But if I go further back than 4 months ago, there's none, zero, which doesn't make any sense because there's nothing that has really been quote unquote sold out except for highly spec books. And when you're not collecting those highly spec books, there's usually like one or two or three that's still around. Whether it be the issue that you exactly want or the one before it or the one before that. But there's usually some back issue within that run that's still there beyond that 1 or 2 month period that they would still have on the rack. So that's the point that I was making. The reason why I was wanting to rant about that a little bit, because it just seems odd about modern books being that way. The process hasn't changed. I do know that the print runs are smaller. I'm not saying that comic book stores need to have like the 30 and 40 copies of that book that still need to be made available, but no, it just feels weird when you go back through like the back issue bins for stuff that had came out within like the last 6 years. There's very few titles that are there, and it's not the fact that these titles and stuff have sold out. It's just more along the lines of like, why aren't certain stores making these things available more readily available? Why must I go to one of the mega stores and pay the mega store markup? And like I said, this is a small comic book store that has been in existence for several decades. So it's not like one of these recently popped up ones. And they have great service. Don't get me wrong. But it was just this. I was just so dismayed that it's like, oh, I need to get as far back for like this recent volume of X-Men and Uncanny X-Men. And I'm like looking through them, looking through them, and it's like, oh, it's like, the recent one is like 24. It's like, okay, there's 24, there's 23, there's 22, and there's 21. Let me see if I could get like an issue 10. Okay, it's not on the racks. Let me go upstairs, up the stairs and this, that, and the other to go to the X-Men box. I go to the X-Men box, none, nada. But I'm seeing a lot of stuff from the 90s. I do find that kind of odd. I was, and granted, they did print more in the 90s, they did print more in the 80s, they did print more in the 70s, but the whole nada from the recent run, that just does not set well. Especially when, truth be told, and the news cycles hit when it comes to Comic Con and all these other things, that these books are not really selling out. And when I truly say selling out, I'm talking about if Marvel is printing like 150 to 200,000 of them, and only 150,000 of them are being pre-ordered through the distributors, there's 50,000 copies that's still out there around, floating around and everything. Maybe they eventually give them away, and stuff like that. Maybe there's like what is it called, the secondary ordering that some distributors have after the fact. But saying all that to say, usually there is some form of fashion of back issues that usually most stores will have. Because again, there's certain comic book stores that only focus on modern comics. Then there's other ones that focus on the full gambit of stuff. But it's just very weird, just just for the small sampling that I tried to do when I was at the comic book store and I would say comic book store this past Friday, because that's where I went. This past Friday, it's like I only got my bags and boards because they didn't have any of the new modern stuff that I was looking for. Now, if I would have went there with my list of the stuff from back in the day, oh yeah, I probably would have made out like a bandit. But it's kind of sad. It's like, I just look at it as kind of sad. It's like, there's no more recent a la carte type stuff anymore. And no, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon to be like, bring back the newsstands. I know I don't want to be on that bandwagon, but I just wanted people to be aware that, back in the day, it's like if we missed the issue or two, we always had, an opportunity to, go to the store, go to a decent comic book store and get those back issues easily. Now those days just seem like they're gone. It seems like they're gone. Your best bet is to kind of like jump on like a Whatnot or something to that magnitude where you can get it, or these claim sales where you get to like these $1 and $2 sales, and hopefully they pop up there. But I don't know. It's just the whole feel of this modern age of comics just seems kind of weird to me. It just seems weird. And maybe we're growing out of an infancy type stage here. Each age has their own beginning, middle, and ends here. I mean, heck, we survived the 90s, the wild, wild west of the 90s. I mean, we don't have the quote unquote superstars of artistry anymore trying to dictate what makes a good comic and what doesn't make a good comic anymore. We don't have that anymore. We don't have the same editorial type oversight like we did, like they did it back then. The creativity is a lot different here. Storytelling is a lot different now than it was back then. But also at the same time, the actual buying habits and reading habits has also changed. Not everybody is reading comics anymore. More people are collecting the artwork. A lot of people are collecting covers, and those who do read, kind of like what Parallax said, they wait for the trade paperback instead of paying, $6.99 and $5.99 per issue or $4.99 per issue. They will wait until the trade paperback or the full run comes out, and they pay what, the $24.99 or that, or their $29.99 for that trade paperback or collected volume, and be happy. And even she said it's like at half price. So that tells me that they wait even longer than that. But the day and age of how people are reading and enjoying this medium has really changed so much that it makes you think. It just really makes you think. And like I said, this rant is not really like, oh, I hate this. It's more like, what in the world is going on? What am I missing? It's like, what culturally so am I missing here in this modern age of collecting? And I'm not saying that people are doing this, that, or the other wrong, but I just up here like, if I don't go on my on New Comic Day for something that I didn't have on my pull list, does that mean that I miss out on it forever? Or do I have to pay the markup because of the way that the secondary market is? And if that's the case, I might go on a rant about screw the secondary market, because that is beyond ridiculous. And like I said before, I already talked about all the spec books and how something that comes out on brand new comic day, issue number 1 should not be $40 coming out on issue number 1 when the cover price is $4.99 because of speculation here and the secondary market. I'm staying away from that for right now because of the simple fact that it's like, people going to make their money, and they're going to make their money wherever they want. And if people have that much FOMO, I feel bad for it. But also at the same time, the secondary market should not be affecting brick and mortar stores like that. Not to that degree. Especially on brand new books. It would have been different. It would have been different if these books were out for, at least a year and a half, and they just shoot up here. But the day of release, I would find that highly suspect. But then again, that's what happens when they treat this medium like it was a collector's plate or a collector's coin or a collector's toy or something to that magnitude, and not treat it as literature or art. Art does not skyrocket that quickly. But if this stuff is getting marketed in such a way like it's a Beanie Baby or a Pokemon card, the secondary market is probably going to end up ruining a lot of things, and the diehards are only going to be the ones that are going to be left in this hobby, and the ones that are going to be reading and trying to enjoy what they can. And it's going to make it harder for newer books to come out here. Or it might be something that people are fearing too, which is another mass exodus because of format. And when I say a mass exodus to format, I'm talking about switch over from American comics to manga. Only because it's a bigger bang for your buck. Just saying. I'm just saying. I'm not saying manga is better than American and vice versa. I'm just saying, for the price point and page count and content, you got a bigger bang for your buck dealing with manga than dealing with an American comic. Just saying. I'm looking at that statistically, so not with a slant of bias or anything to that magnitude. Because why? I really don't collect manga all that much, but I have read a lot of stuff, and every once in a while I might pick up a manga volume here or two. But I don't go seeking out for that type of stuff here. However, I do know that there's a lot of younger readers of comics that pick up a manga a lot faster than they would in an American comic because of price points and what they get in its entirety. Is the stories and stuff better? That's subjective. That's very subjective. I do enjoy a manga here and there, but it is subjective. But when I look at this age and where things are going with American comics, especially when I'll up here go to, like as I said, this is a store that's been around, so they have been through their lumps and thumps and bumps and everything with people's buying habits and everything. But when I see something like that happen, especially when there has not been like a mega key event or anything to that magnitude for a particular series, it makes you put out those red flags and question marks. It's like, well, what is really going on here? How come there's no true back stock in your store for the most recent volume of an X-Men or Superman or a Batman or Spider-Man? And I get it, numbers play a factor. Like Parallax said, Parallax is correct. I'm not saying that she's wrong, but she is absolutely right. The numbers are different as far as how many is produced here. And I stated before, I'm not expecting them to have, you know, 30 copies of issue number 20, 22 or 23 sitting around for the most recent volume here. But I do expect them to have at least one or two that might be, stragglers, or at least to see some type of representation, whether it be like an extra issue number 3 or issue number 5 or issue number 6, especially for those that deal with new comic books. But this one store didn't. And I didn't even question it. I didn't even want to question it. I didn't even want to ask anybody out of the ordinary, because I've been to the store so many times. I just know how it is ran, and as I look at it, it's just like, wow, hasn't this side of the industry gotten that hard where we don't have backstock of more recent stuff in the modern age of comics? It's just weird. But on that note, that's where I'm going to leave things at here. I'm not saying that, this is overall, something that is like we got to make major changes here, because there's stores that are going to have these issues in their backstock. I get it. But it just caught me off guard. It just caught me off guard where it's like, you kind of expect them to have like at least 1 or 2 copies of comic book series that from like 6 months ago. But you only go to their back issue bins and they only have stuff from like back in the day, like way back in the day, over 20 and 30 years ago. Nice runs of it. But I can't find something that was recently put out 6 months ago, 5 months ago. Just struck me as odd. But if you guys have that same experience, especially with the smaller stores, just let me know. At least tell me that I'm not going, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over this type of stuff, because I know for a fact that I could have gone out to Graham Crackers Comics and picked up a few books there. But I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to go all the way downtown. This other store is a lot closer, about like a 15-minute bus ride to get there and get back, type stuff here. And like I said, I get a lot of my supplies and stuff from there, and I pick up books from them just as much as I get from my pull list and stuff out there in Arkansas. So it's just one of those trips that I went there, and that struck me as odd, very odd, that I couldn't find anything that was recent in the back issue bins. And then when I go to the rack, it's like it only goes back so far. It's like, yeah, the rack part, I get it, but the back issue bins, I just don't. That just threw me for a loop here. Anyway, that's pretty much what I got for you guys this evening here, unless you guys have anything else that you want to talk about here. Thanks to Tad and Parallax and the Sunstrider Gang for showing up here. And then we got people who are up there watching that hasn't been a part of the chat to actually conversate, because like I said, I do this show for you guys. You can ask me just about anything. We can talk about anything that's comic book related here. I hope that you guys enjoyed the announcement here. I do have to do a newsletter post here to send it out to my mailing list to let them know what's going on with C2E2, to let them know that Legends of the Giants Slayer is here, and the changes that we have to go through for the foil version of issue number 5 for primetime Saturday night. We still got to get that corrected again. And I'm not looking forward to the extra money that's being thrown that way to get those books fixed here. But, you know, we got error copies here. It's still all the graphics and stuff is intact. It's just there are pages that is missing wording, and it's just like, oh my goodness, it happened again. And what's weird about it is that when we did the release of it, that's when we had the errors within issue 5 and the foils. So when we went back and got them redone, issue 5 came back perfectly fine. Everything is there. I don't know what happened with the foils here. So we're just going to go back and reinvestigate and figure out what actually happened and get the actual physical foil ones done properly. So if for some reason we blow up real big and everything, those who have those error copies, you got some money coming to you. But nevertheless, it is what it is here. So until our mid show update here for next week, live life, grow, and be well. Unless you guys got something to talk about, let me give you a couple of minutes here to see if you guys got anything that you want to talk about comic book related wise. If not, I'm going to bid you guys adieu and give those who are on the East Coast at least probably like 25 minutes of their Saturday back before they be so far in the future that it doesn't matter anymore. And for everybody else on the Midwest and out West, we're going to allow you to enjoy your rest of your Saturday here. It doesn't look like there's not going to be much more being stated here. At least nobody's saying anything. So on that note, live life, grow, and be well. I'll see you guys here next Saturday. I might be a little bit late. We might start a little bit after 9 o'clock here. But we will have our mid C2E2 update like we always do when we do C2E2. And don't forget about Comic Book Spectrum. We're still going to have a Comic Book Spectrum. It's going to be me and Cliff. Elaine is not going to be here, so we're going to have some good talks. And it may be a shorter one. Maybe just right on the money with 2 hours here. But we will have some fun. So live life, grow, and be well. And we are out. Have a good rest of your Saturday, and I'll see you next week. Bye.